What's up, guys? I'm Hugh Carnahan, the Kaizen Man. Today I'm going to show you how to make a cider in 15 minutes. I'm not following a recipe. I'm kind of making stuff up as I go along using rules of thumb. Super simple. Let's get started. Ingredients real quick. I just have 15 cans of the frozen concentrate apple juice. Make sure it says the 100% apple juice stuff. Just for shiggles, I'm going to throw in some of these frozen berries that I got. This is just a container to store it. I've got a yeast packet. This is a cider yeast specifically. And then I have a pot with some sugar. Guys, the first rule of home brewing is that you need to be drinking preferably home brew while you are brewing. I don't make the rules, I just enforce them. So I have a barrel-aged IPA I made. I have 15 of these cans of apple juice. I'm gonna take 2 of them, I'm gonna throw them in the freezer. The reason why is because later, when it comes to kegging in about a week, 3 weeks, a month, whatever, I'm going to throw these back into the keg to back sweeten, because the yeast will ferment out all the sugars and it will taste very dry. So this will add some sweetness back to it. Cider already is super simple. This is even simpler and with less waste. Literally just going to take these one at a time, pop them, and dump them in. Great, you'll watch me do that a whole bunch of times. Probably rinse this out. Do a little swirl. And there you are. I want it nice and clean. With that, should throw it away. You can see it's easier when it's thawed. So I might let these thaw out a little bit more. While I'm doing that, I'm gonna put these in a blender. Add some sugar and some water in that pot just because I can. And the main reason that I am adding water at all is just so it makes the sugar easier to dissolve. I'm not following a recipe at all. I'm just kind of going flying by the seat of my pants here. Sure, about 3 cups of sugar. I don't know, doesn't matter. All the sugar is doing is it's bumping the ABV a little bit more than you naturally have. Now, again, not following a recipe, usually adding fruits like berries makes things taste bitter. They also don't taste right because the sugar will ferment all of this out, and what happens is you're left with whatever strawberries, blackberries, and blueberries taste like without sugar, which is just kind of different. So I'm just throwing it in for shiggles to see what happens. I'm going to really want the flavor to get out after it, so I think I'm going to pulp these a little bit. You know, didn't feel like dirtying up any other stuff. See, it's kind of pulpy there. Cool. Where all that has lots of residual sugars in it, so I'm gonna just rinse it real fast into the bag. Rinse the bag. And since this is a lean channel, I have tried to create a U-shaped cell where I'm going to pull this, dump it in here, rinse it, dump it in here without taking any steps. All right, see guys, that wasn't that bad. So, turn this off and give this a little stir. I don't know how it'll taste, not following a recipe. We're just figuring stuff out as we go along. The thing is, I'm gonna put this into here, fill this up with water. So, because this is all cold and this is warm, and this is a plastic container that's kind of thin, I'm gonna go ahead and dump it in now and we'll hope for the best. I'm going to attempt to agitate this. All right, I just mixed that together. I'm going to be taking a standard gravity reading. What that is, you don't have to do this, but what it is you take the measurement of the liquid before, which is the density of the liquid based on the sugar content, and then after fermentation, and the difference between the two, you plug into a calculator, you can find ABV. I mixed it up so this should be more accurate. And it says the ABV is about 1064. Let's talk about yeast. This yeast is a cider yeast. It has yeast nutrient and stuff in it. If you don't have access to one of these, well, one, you can just order online with some due diligence, but you can use a standard wine yeast or a champagne yeast and then use yeast nutrient or add some other stuff in. You can Google it, but since homebrewing is so popular now, literally snag this guy here. And literally, it's pretty much done. All right, and here we are in the basement. I've just moved it down here, and doing that, I've written 1064 on the top, just to make sure that we've got a record of that so we don't lose it. And that is just an erasable marker here, so I can have it, not damage the lid. I'm gonna lift this up, fill this full. And there you go. If all goes according to plan, this should be good to go in about a week. All right, guys, the next day we see that we have the airlock bubbling. It is fermenting away. Here in about 3 or 4 days, it'll be done. I'm gonna be stopping the video here because the next steps are different. I'm gonna be taking this keg here, when we're done, pitching these two, remember we separated them off earlier? Putting this in here with those two that will back sweeten it, which is going to be awesome because it's going to be colder than, it would be about 40 degrees. It's not going to be able to re-ferment. Other people might be bottling. If you're bottling, you're stuck with two options. You need to use priming sugar tablets to do this, but that means that the sugar is going to eat all the sugars available, and then it's not going to be back sweetened again. If you put too much sugar in, it will explode. Call the bottle bomb. Right, so for you guys, you'll have to use some other thing, some other non-fermentable sugar like lactose or something if you want to back sweeten. Or there's nothing wrong with just leaving it dry, leaving dry tasting, going into the bottles, and they're good to go. So that was my very quick 15-minute setup. Here we are, day 2, and we're basically done. And we don't have to do very much else. I mean, it's going to be about 5 minutes to fill this and then clean up. So super simple. If you guys like this stuff, subscribe, share it, all that crap. Get out there, eliminate the struggle. We'll see you next time.